All right, here we are. So there's Tate Hall. That's where that Robert guy is delivering his sermon. All hail and amen to the prophets on and about said outer space. So there's Tate Hall. So we're gonna hang out here and see what we can muster up. Dinosaurs don't exist, my friend. Yeah, you've never seen that before, so how do you know it's real?
I mean, how do you know what everything is?
I'm just asking a question. I mean, you know, they don't have no 100% dinosaur skeletons in any of your museums, right? You know that?
Yeah, but I mean, that could be said about a lot of things.
Well, so you have this like this nihilistic type of view where just nothing exists type of deal?
No.
Okay.
I don't know what you're getting at.
Well, I'm getting at this, that what's being taught at Tate Hall right now is, in 30 minutes, is pseudoscience.
Oh.
Yeah, so you believe in outer space and the Big Bang and all that?
Yeah.
Okay, even though you weren't around 13 billion years ago?
Yeah, there's mathematical things that can be, there's mathematical evidence to prove that it's happened.
Okay, so math creates reality is what you're saying then, right?
You could argue that, yeah.
Okay, well, that's a dangerous place to go to, my friend, and I wouldn't encourage it, you know?
So you encourage believing in flat Earth, though?
No, I would encourage you to just kind of step back.
Also, fact number 6 is completely false.
Oh, okay,
So
and what's that?
The fact that hundreds of flights there actually do exist flights from here to here.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't see that many of them because it's a very niche flight.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Does that make you feel good that you're debunking certain ideas?
I mean, does it make you feel good when you want to debunk?
That's pseudoscience. It's not anything that you can prove. Do you believe the moon landing?
I mean, do you believe this?
I have a better understanding of that being real than landing on the moon.
I mean, obviously you don't if you believe this. I'm not going to insult your intelligence by suggesting you believe what you're...
But you're going to tear it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
It makes me feel like a big man, to be honest.
Hey, good for you, man.
But,
that's why you're here, right?
Yeah.
To be educated?
Yeah.
So could you prove that you live on a sphere in outer space? Is there a way that you could do that for me so I can maybe come back to the fold of heliocentrism?
There's ways, if you look historically.
Give me 2, please.
All right.
That we can do right now, not citing other things, right?
That we can do right now? Well, it's a little hard to do right now because there's buildings in the way.
Okay.
And a lot of stuff. You know, I'm not
Just humor me, maybe. Could you just humor me? Give me 2 things. Like shadows? Is that where you're going?
Shadows?
Yeah. Where you going with? Like, what do buildings have to do with anything? Like, how come you can't prove they're sphere Earth?
It's a little harder to see the curvature of the Earth. You know what I mean? Like if you were to go to the ocean, but there aren't many oceans.
Okay, you can't see the curvature of the Earth from the ocean.
No, but you can see ships go past the curvature.
Yeah,
of the Earth.
that's.
And then if you use a cherry picker.
Okay. What about being in an airplane? Can you see it from there too?
No, it doesn't go high enough.
Oh, okay. But you just told me that on the shoreline you can see curvature, but then when you're in an airplane you can't? That doesn't make any sense.
There's mathematical things to explain that.
Okay. Do you happen to know the circumference and radius of your ball Earth you live on?
No.
Why would you, right?
Why would I? Why would I?
Well, then it could prove that you do or don't live on a spherical object in outer space, because then there would have to be curvature.
Why would I need to prove that?
Well, because then you could find out whether there's curvature of the Earth over a body of water, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, well, why would you want to do that? I mean, you believe that giant reptiles lived 65 million years ago, right? Of course there is. I mean, that's fine, bud. If that's where you're at right now, I would just encourage you to just maybe step back and critically think yourself, right? I'm still waiting for that evidence, because you said you could see curvature from the shoreline, but you can't from an airplane. That just, you kind of contradicted yourself. So that's all.
There's math.
Of course there is. There's also math with the curvature of the spherical ball Earth, but you don't know what that is.
I don't. I'm not trying to say that.
Okay. Right. But you were trying to prove to me that you could see curvature from the shoreline, but you can't from an airplane.
Because you asked for
I mean, I was even going to give you the benefit of the doubt.
All right.
But,
Well, you know what? You're just you're being real condescending.
I kind of have, yeah, because you kind of tore up my material. That's a shame. I mean, you could probably have torn it up like out of my eyesight, right? Could have probably been a good idea.
Probably
could have. Yeah.
But, you know. Whatever.
All right. Well, don't tase me, bro. I'm going to hang out here for a while. Have a nice afternoon.
All right.
Cheers.
What's Brad's plan? Sleeping in the dorms? No. So what have you done?
Cheers. The belly of the beast. Hey fellas, how you doing? I'm doing well, thanks. How you guys doing?
Good.
All right. Did you watch the moon landing on the radio?
No.
Yeah. How you doing, man? Don't get catfished. Scary stuff. Gotta know what you're doing. How's it going, bud?
Good.
Right on, man. Maybe you could. Do you happen to know how the phases of the moon are caused?
The what?
The phases of the moon. Do you happen to know how caused?
Not really.
You don't.
Like how?
You know the phase of the moon, half moon, crescent moon.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. How do we get the shadow?
Oh, I mean,
What's the shadow?
Like the relative position of the moon as like related to the Earth and how the sun shines on the moon. Like what we see from that.
Okay, so like our perspective on Earth.
Yes.
Okay. Does the Earth have anything to do with the phases of the moon?
I mean, the mass of the Earth is what causes like gravity between the moon to spin around it, but other than that.
Okay. Has it ever crossed your mind that the Earth may be a level, motionless plane that goes on infinitely?
No.
Okay, and not a sphere, like your top?
Well, it's crossed my mind, but.
Okay, well, it's crossed your mind again, man. That's why I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, here
right,
to
interesting.
just expand your mind.
For sure.
Yeah.
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 All right.
I mean, do you know what catfish means?
I guess.
Right? When you're like trying to talk to somebody online and they show you an image,
Yeah, but
you assume that that's them, right? And to find out it's not.
Yeah.
So what if like this is probably a good idea of where you were told that we live, right?
Yeah.
So when I say Earth, do you think of something like this?
Yeah.
Maybe. Have you ever seen the Earth from outer space in that perspective before?
On the pictures.
Right. Neither have I. Right.
Yeah.
So who's to tell you that you haven't been catfished?
I don't know. I guess.
Cheers.
Interesting.
All right, man. How you going? You're back. All right. So what do you have to present? Do you happen to know what being catfish means?
Yeah, it's saying you know who you are, but you're not really that person.
Right. So do you want to know why I'm associating NASA with being catfished?
Sure. I guess
Okay, when I say Earth, what do you think of?
where we are right now.
Okay, well, do you possibly maybe think of that? Okay. I mean, fair enough, right? That's what we've been taught our whole lives since we've been 4, right? But have you ever been to outer space to see Earth from that perspective before? You've only seen images, right?
Yeah.
So how do you know if you're not being catfished about where you live?
True.
Fair enough, right?
True.
I mean, so do you happen to have 2 proofs that you could share? So I could kind of come back to the fold and believe the Earth is a ball instead of level motionless plane?
Why do we have to justify it? Do you have proof that it doesn't look like that?
Yeah, water lays level and flat always and doesn't conform to the exterior of the shape.
Right.
Big buildings, you use a water level, right? Okay, what about it?
Is this for class?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I mean, if you want to, you can check it out. I mean, you will be on YouTube, so yeah, let's do it. I mean, fair enough, right? Yeah, of course. Do what you got to do, man. I mean, you know.
Spread his message, Gabe.
Exactly. Cheers, Gabe. Thanks a lot, guys. All I'm saying is, like, what's being taught in Tate Hall right now is, in my opinion, pseudoscience, because you can't verify what's going on up and above us without taking someone else's word for it. That's all I'm saying. Thanks, man. You guys have a good afternoon. Maybe I'll see you around.
Flight to outer space, then.
All right. You too. How you doing, ladies? Good. Hey, do what you got to do. The moon isn't a physical object to be landed on, though. Just remember that. Fellas? The Earth is a level, motionless plane, not a ball, like you're taught. It's pretty funny, huh? You have. You know what catfish means, right? Online?
Like, someone said they were a girl, turns out it was a guy.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. Like they send you a picture, right, of an attractive female, and then, like, they keep obfuscating the idea to meet and stuff, and then come to find out, like, oh, it's a guy, or maybe it's not the girl that you thought it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So my association with NASA would be, when I say Earth, what do you think of?
A sphere, blue, floating around the sun.
Okay. Have you ever seen the Earth from that perspective before, or just pictures?
I mean, pictures, not an astronaut.
Right? So you haven't yourself seen the Earth from that vantage point in outer space, but you've only seen it like this, right?
Not really like that.
Well, I mean, you know, that is kind of the idea, that the Earth is a blue marble, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for argument's sake, right? I mean, we're splitting hairs, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but you've never seen it from that point, so could it be possible you're being catfished right now? Where you live? Possible,
Yes.
right?
To what end?
Okay.
That's my. Is this a flat Earth thing?
Yeah, you said it, not me. You know, but
So, can I ask a question though?
yeah, do it, man.
What is there to gain? Like, what is like the material benefit in lying?
Okay.
Like, what is the material benefit? What material benefit does NASA gain, or the U.S. government gain, from lying about what shape the Earth is?
Okay.
Like,
I'll totally answer that question, because it's not my first rodeo. I've been here. I've heard that a lot. But can I just present you something? If you and I are detectives, right, and we show up on a murder scene, and there's a dead body and a knife, do you and I just all of a sudden say, man, what is the motive? Like, why would somebody kill this person? I mean, what's wrong with them, right? Like, why would this person looks, I mean, they're dressed nicely. Why would anybody want to do that? Do we do that, or do we gather evidence over a period of time and then maybe present a motive that this person was, you know, maybe stealing money, cheating on their wife, so on and so on? Would we gather evidence first, or do we just jump to motive?
I would assume we would jump to motive, and then in which case, if we're going with that logic, motive for NASA to say that the Earth is round is to, I guess, I mean, well, things like, what's the motive to lie? Like, that's my thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, we have a dead body here. What's the motive, right? Instead of, like, being logical, right, and gathering evidence first, you want to jump to motive. That's all I'm saying. I think it would be make more sense to gather evidence to then formulate a motive. Is that fair?
Yeah, but it seems like there is evidence.
Okay. Could you give me 2 evidences that we live on a sphere? And then I could provide you with 2 that we live on a level motionless plane. And then I'll give you my motive. Fair enough?
I guess
Okay.
that there is that through the what is it? It's like flights and like it's like we've flown like we have not like all like have like you have a round trip or whatever where you like fly as far as you can. Like there's no like we don't have planes that are going off.
Okay.
We've never had a plane that's planes disappear, but not like they flew off the edge of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Planes fly around. Like
Okay.
they come back.
Sure.
If it has enough gas, it would just come back to where it was.
Okay. I understand where you're coming from. I don't agree with it, but what's your second proof?
All the other planets are also round.
Okay.
The sun's round.
Okay.
It's like the sun. That's not like a flat surface. It's this. And so we see it in 2 dimensions because we're far away. But I imagine if you get close enough to it, there's a behind.
Okay.
Like a
So
ball.
we'll both agree that they are round, but does round mean spherical?
That's what I meant, spherical.
Okay, sure. Okay, and my 2 proofs would be level. Water lays level and flat always. It never bends to conform to the exterior of a shape. And as you raise up in altitude, the higher you go, the horizon will always be at eye level. Maybe like a 5-degree difference or so, but it will always continue to rise up. And this is shown in high altitude balloon footage, 20 to 25 miles up. Not using a fisheye lens. So, Felix Baumgartner, Red Bull jump, and so on.
Yeah.
He used a fisheye lens to do that. So unfortunately, it deceived a lot of people thinking that the Earth is round or spherical, as would be the proper vernacular. So have you ever looked at high altitude balloon footage?
Not in my spare time.
Okay. I have, a video of high altitude balloon footage. If I showed you it, what would you think of that?
With the sound we produce.
So I guess it's like I'm sure like you could probably say like, oh, this doesn't look quite right. Like this looks off, right? And so it's like, yeah, I guess that maybe the Earth isn't round. The thing that I always keep coming back to, the thing that's always like that's bugged me, is it's like, so if it's flat, what comes after? What's step 2? Step 1, Earth is flat. They lied. Step 2, what do we do? What is the end game? What is the like I said before? What is the material benefit that they have gotten out of saying that the Earth is round? And what would happen if it's like, no, it's actually flat? Lying. What is the next step?
Well, for you, this is a new topic, so it could be difficult to kind of bring you to the point. I've been in the game for 3 years about flat Earth, so I'm already at step 3. You didn't even mention step 3. You're talking about step 2. I'm at step 3 right now, my friend.
So what's step
3? Well, I'd love for you to come by and check out my YouTube channel and find out, but, that's up to you, man. Authentic Intent on YouTube, okay?
Can I offer you a YouTube suggestion?
Sure, man. Yeah, present it. I mean,
there's
you're going to be on YouTube.
YouTuber. His name is 𝐻bomberguy. Heard of him? 𝐻bomberguy.
Okay.
But one thing I do want to bring up is a meme that I saw posted here first, and I've seen it around since then, towards the end of the documentary. And when I was watching the first time, I had to pause and just kind of laugh at it. It's this picture here. It's so fascinating. It's so direct, and it doesn't get what it's really saying. Like, just maybe don't brag too triumphantly about how you don't read books. Chapter 3. He Who Smelt It. Anyway, one of the main folks credited with getting the ball rolling in Flat Earth, it's a little joke from me to you, is Mark Sargent and his video series entitled Flat Earth Clues. I've now heard about 2 or 3 dozen people say that this series is what really got them into the whole thing and taking it seriously.
Are we inside a Truman Show enclosed world, thousands of miles wide? It's just like in the Truman Show. Oh, God. No, be nice, be nice.
And he did a video on the Flat Earth, sort of the Flat Earth movement, where it comes from, what he thinks, like where does this sort of like disputing science thing come from?
I'm not denying science, though. That's
well, and he doesn't. It sounds very. It's not a meme. It's not like he takes it very. He does his best to take the topic with like care.
okay.
Like he's not like laughing.
Sure.
I mean, there's jokes, but it's not like it's not that.
Jokes and jokes and jokes and jokes and spaghetti, 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 8 Mile.
But I would highly suggest looking at that video because it's very interesting and sort of just like topics about what is it that we're doing when we're sort of trying to like where does that need come from to sort of go against the scientific consensus in a different direction? Not that you're not denying science, but that you're saying the science that we've been going down is wrong, and so we need to go this way. Like where does that come from? And it's I think it's interesting.
Okay. I mean, sounds like something I would check out, and maybe I'll post it in the video here. But you want to go back to motive real quick, and I don't mean to delay your time too much.
I mean, I'm done with today, so I got
okay.
to do.
So with motive, what if there's just more land, water, and resources available for every human being to have just plentiful of said land, water, and resources? On a globe, all that is limited, and we're kind of limited on travel because you were talking about flights before. Flights only go to other airports, right? So me and you, if we were to have our own private commercial jet, we couldn't just fly anywhere we want to. There's FAA regulations that would limit us onto where we can and can't travel.
Yeah.
So
for security reasons.
Right. So for your idea of just airplanes flying off into wherever they want to go, it's kind of a moot point. No offense, because airplanes go from one airport to another.
So resources.
Yeah.
So here would be my counter to that is, like, I would say that the argument that the Earth has enough resources for everybody, I'd say that argument works with without the flat Earth stuff.
Okay,
Like,
well,
the
what
rea-
is
like
what
the-
is a fossil fuel then?
I assume just the stuff that they dig up from the ground. Your
Okay,
oil, your
so is
whatever.
oil and gasoline that we use for our cars, is that considered a fossil fuel and limited?
It is limited because the Earth only has so much, and
Okay.
it
Allegedly,
grows
right?
back.
Allegedly.
But it grows back on a scale. Like the thing about like when they say like non-renewable energy, in like the Earth naturally created that stuff, and it will naturally create more, but it's on a time scale that it wouldn't matter. Like for us, it doesn't matter. Like
Okay.
if we drain the Earth of all its oil, it will eventually provide expand or whatever.
Mhm.
It will build it back up again, but it would take on a time scale that we wouldn't even be around to use it.
Okay.
It's like that's the thing. And
I
so
know, man. Hey, thanks a lot, man. Check me out.
Huh?
I got a YouTube
I
channel.
like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where'd you get that? Can I?
Yeah, Amazon.
Oh,
Leaf
shit.
Nelson.
What is it called?
Leaf Nelson.
I'm gonna get it.
Do it,
Like
man. You got a good line.
But yeah, like so. What did I say? Oh right, the oil
Renewable
thing.
resources, yeah.
Like the point with like the renewable resources isn't that like there should be there's more of it. The point is that we're going to deplete it, and it's not going to grow back on a time scale that we can actually use it.
Right, there's more demand than there is available resources, is what you're saying. The supply is
The
not
supply is-
resourcing,
the supply
not
is finite.
renewing.
In relative to our terms, it's finite.
Okay.
And so that's why you want to move to stuff. You want to move to wind. You want to move to hydropower. You want to move to solar power.
Yeah.
Stuff that we can just keep using, and also stuff that doesn't destroy the climate. And so what I would say is that the problem with resources isn't that like the problem with resources isn't that like it's not what is it? In terms of like oil and stuff, it's detrimental. It can't grow back. And then in terms of like other resources, like stuff that we use for like production or stuff that we use for like food or whatever, like that stuff isn't really a problem of like, oh, there's not enough. It's more of a problem of distribution. I mean, you're getting into things like you're getting into business, you're getting into capitalism, you're getting into like how our economic systems are structured. And so I think all of that, you can have that critique without the Earth being flat.
Okay, so kind of like a wax on, wax off thing that you were doing?
Well, just you can have, you don't need the Earth to be flat to argue to make.
But it
that
is
critique.
flat, though. You haven't given me any guaranteed proof that the Earth is a sphere, not of space.
But then it's like I can say you haven't given me proof that it's flat.
Water
either.
lays level at all levels of our observations. It measures flat. It's observationally
So
flat.
where's the edge?
Why does there have to be an edge?
Well,
There's two ideas, right? So looking at that manhole, for example, the outer ring may or may not be the Antarctic ice wall, holding all the water in, because water has to be contained. Is it fair enough? Otherwise, it'll just flow and
So it's like a
seek
tub.
its own level.
So it's
Okay.
it's tough.
That's an idea. For me, personally, I think that there's just more shorelines and water, land, and resources go on infinitely forever. So you can't fall off the edge of a lake, can you? If you're at the beach, can you fall off the edge of the shoreline?
I mean, eventually it just sort of hits another section of land. So is that what you're saying? It just keeps going?
Possibly.
So then so it's just this big flat thing that just goes on.
Yep.
And then space is up there.
Space doesn't exist as prescribed by a mainstream narrative. No.
So then
There's,
what do we see when we look up at night?
We live in a pressurized system, in my opinion, so there may or may not be a ceiling above us, holding all the water.
Like the dome.
Possibly.
Like the Stephen King thing.
Yeah.
The pitcher, steroid Santa Claus, kicks and deals. It's a long fly ball going back. And the ball shatters the sky, bringing the ocean itself down into the stadium. Oh, Simpson just broke this dream's reality wide open.
Who put it there?
I believe in a creator, personally. Now that we can debate on what that creator or who that creator is, but regardless, I do feel that there is strong evidence to reveal a creator that can create something that is separate from the creator. So the creator can create something who is separate from the creation, so it's not bound by, quote, law,
Yes.
or the laws that we would interpret as.
So God, or a deity, or some
Yeah.
thing. Is it a person, or is it like a force?
I believe this God manifested himself in the flesh. Yeah. But that's just me.
Are there like different sects of the flat Earth movement that don't subscribe to that theory?
Of course, yeah. There's a commonwealth of flat earthers who ponder many things. But they know that the Earth is not a ball in outer space.
What about the other planets?
They're just lights in the sky.
So Mars.
It's a light in the sky that you cannot venture to.
We've been to Mars. We have robots on Mars.
Well, what's this we stuff? You've never been there before.
We, the humanity, the collective.
Okay. Have you ever heard of Devon Island before?
No.
Okay, we'll look that up. That may or may not be where they quote film the Mars.
Also, it's the moon landing thing.
The earth is flat, living in illusion. The earth is flat. We take some illusion. The earth is flat, living in illusion. So people don't know what to do.
No.
Kubrick did it, or some other director.
Possibly. I certainly don't feel confident saying that the moon is a physical object to be landed on.
But we see it in the night.
We see it, yeah, sure, but it doesn't mean that we can land on it.
So you don't believe in the moon landing either?
Absolutely not. No, do you?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's your opinion, I guess. How you guys doing? Yeah, want to chat about it? 5 minutes? Okay, well, you know, it's an alternative viewpoint, and there's a lot of people who... Oh, that's fine, yeah.
People are hungry.
Check out my YouTube channel, Authentic Intent, though. You'll be on camera, so we might as well, right? So, what evidence can you provide that the moon landing is a real thing that we can duplicate?
I mean, I think it's a thing that we did it once. We should probably do it again. It's more of a lack of political will, and just the government doesn't want to do it because I guess they think that NASA is a waste of money.
Well, it's not a waste of money. They give them $20 billion a year.
You seen how much we give the military though?
Yeah. But
700 billion.
Yeah.
So I think we're more interested in blowing up brown people than going to space.
Well, if that's your idea, I mean, that's fine, but the Fed Reserve is the one that prints the money, so they're separate from everything. They're higher than the government. You're aware of that, right?
What is the proper relationship, what should be the proper relationship between a chairman of the Fed and a president of the United States?
Well, first of all, the Federal Reserve is an independent agency, and that means basically that there is no other agency of government which can overrule actions that we take. So long as that is in place and there is no evidence that the administration or the Congress or anybody else is requesting that we do things other than what we think is the appropriate thing, then what the relationships are don't frankly matter. And I've had very good relationships with presidents.
The Fed Reserve?
Yeah, our country.
1930, 33.
I know America.
Act of 1871.
I know America puts its own money.
Okay.
But it's like they still decide where that money goes, and they're just sort of been like space travel thing. Because I guess in the '60s it was fueled by just we need to beat the Soviets.
Sure, that's the idea.
The Chinese, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas like now we have no sort of, there's no geopolitical reason for us to do it, so we're just not doing it, which is unfortunate. It'd be kind of cool. Although I guess probably in the shorter term we should probably focus on like your homelessness, your education.
You would think so, right? But they want to continue this narrative of fantasy world of outer space that doesn't exist.
Well, I think the thing is like they're not really.
They are. They are. They regularly, constantly talk about outer space as if it's real. It's not. Natalie Portman's coming out with a new movie here pretty soon, talking about outer space. It's not real, my friend. It's fantasy. So that's why I'm here. It's pseudoscience, right?
So that's the thing. So why not?
Why? Why did your parents conspire against you about Santa Claus, right?
Well, actually, they didn't do that. That was just They just didn't want to bother. That's
Yeah,
what
good
said,
for
this
you,
is
man.
not real.
I would
But
say the majority of Americans experience that because I have openly in public said Santa Claus doesn't exist, and I get accosted by parents saying to shut up about that. So that's like a conspiracy of adults against children regarding these fantasy little ideas that don't exist. And I'm just here to tell you that that's the same
So-
thing with NASA
so
and
you're-
outer space, that outer space doesn't exist as prescribed by the mainstream narrative.
So, the analogy that Santa Claus is real, which
Yeah.
is like a thing that
Sure, man.
parents
I
tell
got a
their,
YouTube channel if you
tell
wanna
their
go
kids
check it
because
out.
Santa Claus is supposed to be like, he represents the spirit of giving and generosity and all that type of stuff. And so but it's like, you don't, that's where that comes from.
Yeah, but you're lying to children by giving them a gift and then writing someone else's name on it and telling them that that's who it came from.
But in this thing, the government.
So that's where it comes from with being catfished.
Yeah.
You believe you live here, and you think you live here because someone else tells you, and I'm just saying that you're being catfished.
So, but you're saying that space isn't real and that we're in a dome that was created by a being.
By a highly intelligent being that's
Why
separate
is
from
that
its creation.
more real than Santa Claus?
You brought up the whole creation thing anyways. I don't even have to bring up creation. I can say that water lays level and flat infinitely.
So okay, so Santa Claus exists, or rather, people say Santa Claus exists because they want to like raise their children in a certain way. Why do people say that space exists? Like, what's the equivalent reason?
That's what I've been trying to. I've been trying to ask them why.
Yeah.
Why the lie?
Well, I mean, if you want to go a little bit deeper, there may or may not be a fake alien invasion in the future called Project Bluebeam. So carrying on the narrative of
So
the
wait.
I mean, if you don't want to listen to me, that's
no,
fine.
no. Okay.
I mean, I thought we were having a conversation. I don't
Can I just have
feel
one
comfortable
question?
getting
One
interrupted.
question.
But yeah, sure.
If space isn't real, where did those aliens come from? How can you be an alien if this is all there is?
What's an alien?
From outside.
Outside what?
Outside of this space. If they're from, if this is all there is, then that means they're from here.
Yeah.
So they're from like another part of this big plane. They're not from up there. They're from
Possibly. So what is an alien then, right? Let's get the definition of what an alien is, or an extraterrestrial, right? What is terrestrial? Terrain, land, outer land. So what they're doing, right, is they're saying outer space. You think it's up here. What if when they say outer space, it just means more land, outer space?
So
Because there's
there's-
space in between you and I, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So outer space could just mean you live here and I live over here, and soon we're going to introduce
So
this
it's like
people
another.
here
It's like
over to
another
here.
nation.
Possibly.
So it's less an alien invasion and more like us getting like where Germany like invades Poland or something. It's that kind
Could
of
be.
thing. Well, I mean that's what it is.
Watch
right?
out here.
That's like the thing. If they're from, they're not. It's if space isn't a thing and this is all that there is, then they're just like from some other part of this big flat plane. So it's like another nation.
I'm just saying, right? I'm provoking a thought, right? Now, whether this is true or not, is it any different than what's being taught here tonight in Tate Hall regarding outer space and galaxies of places that you or I have never going to go
Oh, is
to?
that that's what's going on?
That's
there?
what's going on right now.
Oh, so that's why you're here. Counter program.
I actually saw it, and I just so happened, I come here, I'm trying to come here often. I've been doing this type of talk for the last 2 years. So this is my 3rd year doing this. I meet people where they're at. I take what's being talked about online, and I present it positive.
Because it's something you're trying to level with people, like terminology that they get.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not even my idea. A friend of mine, Daryl Marble, came up with it.
So, can I ask another big question?
Of course you can.
For you, like, what is your, like, what do your, like, utopian vision? Like, what is, like, people have the wool lifted from over their eyes, they see the truth. What does humanity do going forward?
I think that there should be an idea that we can't go up there. We should just worry about our problems here on Earth, right? And work together. you know?
Okay.
So, and just like be transparent, you know, maybe have some kind of a bartering system. And, you know, if you sell apples and I sell oranges, we just barter that way. And the monetary system or the cash idea is just a concept and a construct.
It is.
That keeps us in bondage, right?
Yeah.
It's a debt-based system.
Yeah, capitalism.
Right?
It's not fun.
Right. So there's a particular spirit involved with that, where if you were to loan me money, depending upon how much money it is and whether or not we're friends, right, you would charge me interest.
Yeah.
And I feel that that's wrong.
Yeah, I know. It is wrong. It gets people. It destroys people's lives. I know. I agree with this.
Okay.
And so that's the thing. If that's the goal, like more egalitarian society, more like communal, sort of like less like more communal and like humanistic relationships and living, and people being friendlier to each other and supporting each other and like all that type of stuff. That's cool. I agree with that. That's awesome. We need that because we're not doing that now. Absolutely, I agree with you. We're not doing that now.
Okay.
But where does the Earth being flat, like here, we're
Changes
living,
your life, man.
Like we're here.
It totally changes your life. I can't even explain it. You really got to just let go of everything that you've ever been taught.
Why can't you
over.
Work for the egalitarian society with just like people are already doing that? Like,
well, they're doing it already because they know the Earth is a level motionless plane. You know?
Who? Wait, what?
I'm saying that the majority, the 1%ers that run the Earth, I feel very confident that they know the Earth is a level motionless plane, and what the heliocentric model, does is that actually like it incorporates the idea of evolution, and you know, this colored skin over here is separate from this colored skin over here, and this type of faith-based idea is separate from this faith-based idea. And it's very hard for people as human beings to get along when things like that are incorporated. And I feel like that's a lot of pseudoscience because nobody knows what happened a billion years ago, if that's an idea.
Well, yeah, race is a social construct. So, what about Elon Musk then? What about that weirdo? He wants to go to space. He's part of the 1%. He's a billionaire.
I'm sure, yeah.
He's all about his whole SpaceX thing. They keep trying to go to space.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to buy into that. Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, he wants to go to space.
Mm-hmm.
What about them?
I don't know. I'm not them. I don't know. I don't know their personal life.
If the 1% know, they are the one. Well, maybe not Elon Musk, but Jeff Bezos. He is the 1%, 0.01% of the 1%.
Is Jeff Bezos the guy like with T-Mobile and all that?
No, he's the CEO of Amazon.
Amazon, okay, yeah. Right.
He's literally the richest man in the world.
Okay, yeah, I see where you're coming from.
He's basically Lex Luthor.
Yeah, but also, like, with all that being said, you know, we still communicate here on the ground. We might use high-altitude balloons and possibly drones, but satellites aren't orbiting outer space or anything like that. The majority of our communication done here on Earth is connected through fiber optics to towers. And then it's communication that way. And really, GPS works now, in my opinion, like a node system of each cell phone. So it's not even triangulating from towers anymore. They're using cell phones individually to know how, up to the minute, how long it's going to take you to travel from A to B with traffic, because they're all connected onto one system. And so they're understanding the speed on which each car in front of them, which is carrying a cell phone most likely, is traveling. So, I mean, even with iPhones nowadays and some of your Android, Google Maps will give you, depending upon how fast you're going, oh, you want to go to this place? Well, here's the walking time that it would take. Well, how do you know I'm walking? Well, because it's, you know, like it's able to track that. So it knows when you're driving. So it's really a node system where they're connecting to each other. Not even towers anymore, even though they are connected to a tower. But these satellites and communication, just that's not even realistic.
So
like,
all the companies and all the satellites, like they're lying to you.
They're high altitude balloons.
Hey, what's going on, YouTube? I'm over here at 𝐞𝐥𝐿𝐴's page, and this is a great video he just put out. There are no satellites in space, just balloons. I wanted you to check this out. I'll leave the link below for the full video, but check this out.
I just read this to you. This balloon launch took place in Antarctica, and it's an 8,000 fucking pound telescope satellite. There goes the mountains in the background. Here's a visual description of what I just read in that document. Down a taxiway and getting in the loft and launching it. Watch what happens. If you like apples, how you like them fucking apples? That's 8,000 fucking pounds, people. 1,000 pounds. That dome on the top is actually where all of the radio equipment is installed so that a C-130 can communicate with it.
I'll leave the link below. This has been James from the Research Revolution.
NASA has a significantly large high-altitude balloon program than launching satellites from rockets.
So all those like the Challenger, like all those rockets, like all the stuff, all the like people that have died trying to go up into space, they just hit the wall.
Well, I don't know if you've looked into the Challenger idea, but some of those people are actually still alive, allegedly.
Okay.
So even that idea of being put out there.
So that explosion that everybody saw on TV, that was nothing.
Well, it could just be an explosion. How do you know those people are in it?
So, but then again, like once again, what's the material benefit behind? What do they gain?
Well, with that idea, it could show. With that idea, it could show the danger of going up into outer space, right? I mean, to say like, you know, oh look, it's dangerous to do this, so we're not going to be able to do it on a regular basis.
So they wanted to go,
but they're not. That shuttle program, if I'm not mistaken, has been canceled.
Yeah, because it blew up, or whatever else happened in between. I don't remember.
Sure.
But it's like, so they just made up these people, or they just faked these people's deaths to say we can't go to space.
That's the allegation.
But why would NASA want to make people not want to go to space?
I don't know, man. I'm not them. I can't provide you with a motive, man. I'm not them. But to base your moral standard and code because you feel and think you're a good person doesn't mean you can project that onto somebody else that you've never met before and assume that they're a good person and would never lie. That's complete and utter naivety that is beyond math magic. That's just my opinion, you know?
Yeah.
You don't know what these people do behind closed doors.
No. I mean, you ever seen Eyes Wide Shut?
You ever looked up adrenochrome? I mean, let's get to brass tacks here, man.
No, that's not relevant. That's just weird. That's just a bad joke. But okay, so where I'm coming is, I think maybe not everyone in the flat earth because I don't know what they all want, but I think that the society that you want, where people are treated fairly, you know, the walls are broken down and people are able to live in an egalitarian free society and people aren't being indebted into using debt to put people back into slavery basically. I think that society is possible. But I think that what you're looking at, or what you should be looking at, is the institutions that propagate that system. So you want
I'm standing right in the middle of one right now.
The U of M.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they got some. I'm sure people. I'm sure like it's not. It doesn't get all its funding from the city. I'm sure they got some weird people funding it, but it's like, I'd say, not the space people. I'd go look at across the street, across the river, at the business people.
Mm-hmm.
They're the actual bad guys. is.
Yeah, I just would prefer to talk to common folk and just talk to them and just be on the level.
I know.
You know?
I know.
And I can only do so much. I'm just one man, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm only responsible for myself.
Yeah.
And I'm only accountable to what I feel is the creator of the human race. So I can just only do so much.
Does it have a name?
I don't know his name, but he manifested himself in the flesh, and people would call him Jesus Christ.
Okay, so Jesus was... Okay. So it's not like deviating from what we know. It's what we know is something else.
Well, the Bible does display and convey a level motionless plane, and it does differentiate between what a circle and a ball are, particularly in Isaiah. So there is differentiation between what a sphere is in the Bible and what a circle is. So at no point in the Bible does it ever just express that the heliocentric model is fact.
Well, I don't think they had the technology to do that. Wasn't that written at the time when they thought that like the sun revolved around the Earth? Probably.
It does.
Oh, that's the whole thing.
It's a geocentric environment, not a heliocentric environment.
So the sun is in the
firmament.
The sun's in the dome. There's nothing outside the dome.
Not anything that we are allowed to go up to, in my opinion. I don't think that we're created to go up there. It's not what we're supposed to do. Like,
right.
That's his throne, I would say.
Okay.
You know, but I can talk about flat Earth all day and not bring anything like that into conversation.
Yeah.
I wait till somebody else brings it up.
Yeah. I wouldn't leave with that.
So, you know.
I think if you want to get to your society, I think you should probably focus on dismantling capitalism first, because that's the thing that's killing people.
Yeah, I've been to the 9th District Fed Reserve Bank here in Minneapolis 3 times. So I've done it alone, and I've told people I'm going to do it, and nobody shows up. So really, the honest truth is people love their slavery, and they're comfortable being in the matrix, whether they're truthers or not. I mean, nobody's really ready to...
I don't think it's more comfortable. I think it's...
Nobody's really ready for change.
They're not ready for change. No one's ever ready for change until the change comes.
And that when that comes, it's going to be instigated by the establishment, and not necessarily a group of civilians.
Establishment?
I think so. Yeah. They'll provoke something, I'm sure.
I think they're just happy with how things are.
Well, I mean, that certainly is the case right now. Another venture that we are not able.
I guess is climate change a thing for you guys or no?
I can't express anything, put any words in anybody else's mouth, but I don't agree with human beings being the main focal point of change of anything in the climate. When the idea of the Earth always goes through cycles, how is it that we're just all of a sudden, and even to convey that cow farts are causing so much CO2, I just think that's kind of ludicrous, to be honest.
I mean, it's not really cow farts. It's the industry, it's all the cars. It's the industry plants, the military plants, the guys that make all the guns and whatever.
Yeah.
It's the industrial farmers and all the waste that they produce. Like there's a lot of stuff.
Have you ever heard of the idea of order out of chaos?
Idea of what?
Order out of chaos. So it's an idea that they are the ones that manufacture the chaos, and then they just so happen to be able to come in with a resolution of said chaos. So do you think that they didn't have an idea when they created the gas guzzling cars that we have, that they would eventually have to provide a solution for said problem?
ExxonMobil, they want climate change. They want Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to put forth the Green New Deal.
Possibly.
They want.
Because then there's carbon tax, right?
Even though they spend all this money.
Money is infinite, dude. Money is infinite.
They put people in the media to say, there's a whole subgroup of conservatives and scientists that are on their payroll that say, actually, well, climate change is not that bad. It's not really that much of a thing.
You know what a lobbyist does?
Yeah, I'm very aware of what they do.
All right. So I mean, we can agree on that there might be some bias and money involved. That it's a massive temptation, and money doesn't even necessarily have to be it. I mean, this could be somebody's house right here, right? If I'm a man and I have a particular urge to be with many females, maybe that's what I like, and I'll say whatever I need to just go along with the program like Joe Rogan does, right? He'll lie to his mom. So I mean,
listen, man, I got a question for you, man. Okay. So, I've been a fan of you for a long time, right? So what made you make the switch from like being a moon landing denier to like,
that's a good question.
Crazy if we didn't, you don't know.
If somebody reputable starts talking about UFOs, you can co-opt the person and say, hey, you want to know UFOs? We'll show you the real deal. But not only can you never talk about it publicly, you have to be a debunker publicly.
I'll tell the government right now, tell you right now if you're listening, NSA, CIA, I'm available, okay? If you show me all the real wreckage, I swear to God, I will make fun of that crap to the end of time. I'll make up stories. I'll lie to my mother. I don't care. You show me a UFO, I'll lie to my mother. I swear to God, I will make fun of that crap to the end of time. I'll make up stories. I'll lie to my mother. I don't care. You show me a UFO, I'll lie to my mother.
So I mean, Joe Rogan will chooses to lie about the moon landing when a couple of years ago he was all against it. He was saying that the moon landing was fake. He does believe in it now, but
doesn't. He doesn't.
He changed. He changed. He touts the moon landing. Yeah.
Doesn't he like have? He has weird people on his show. Right?
He's had Elon Musk on his program also.
But he's also had like flat Earth people too, hasn't he?
He's had what's his face on there.
Like he has everybody.
Yeah.
Well, not everybody, but a lot of those like fringe sort of like groups and all of that. No disrespect.
Yeah.
But,
no, that's fine. Yeah. It's just
so
not. Yeah.
He has those people on. So you think that he's been bought now?
I think that there's a particular message that he conveys, knowing that he's getting monetary reward for it. Yeah, I think that's where a lot of people go.
So he's not your guy anymore.
I don't think he was really ever my guy. I mean, I liked him on Fear Factor. It was kind of fun to watch, but yeah.
Oh, okay. So ExxonMobil, they made the problem of climate change, and now they're trying to say we're gonna do the solution, even though the solution probably isn't gonna make them as much money. Like
money is not, and I see keep bringing up money. They
don't
print
care
money,
about money.
dude.
They don't care about money.
They want control of your mind, and you are a free-willed thinking being. If you can control someone who is has free will, then that's power over anything. I mean, that's ultimate power, to be able to control a being that has free will, and to slowly give away your consent to entities that you've never met before. That's what they're doing. I mean, how many times do people download apps on their phone and just hit accept when there's like 2 pages of allow this, allow this, allow this, give us this access, give us this access.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, really, like, for Facebook to collect all this data on people for advertising purposes, I mean, that's what it's all about, is advertising, commercialism, and control of the mind.
So that's their end game.
I think so. I mean, you're controlling the will of the people, and eventually the will of the people will cry out to the government and demand that flat earthers, right, be eradicated because we're tired of hearing the story. I mean, when is it going to get to that point?
They're going to come for you guys.
Maybe. I mean, all the people who just sit on chat rooms and talk about it online, they might not go after them, but people like me who openly talk about it, I don't know. But
so is that so like you know who AOC is, right? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You know who she is, right?
Maybe if you describe
she's a representative from New York. She's the Democratic Socialist. She just got in there. She's on the Green New Deal, that type of stuff.
Yep.
I want to introduce to you my
We've seen her at press conferences,
the great Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez,
in congressional hearings, and on the cover of Tyme magazine. But this time...
Oh, shoot. 5-second rule. Hey, everyone.
She was munching popcorn, sipping white wine, and assembling furniture on Instagram Live.
All right, what am I doing here?
Breaking news, an historic first. This appears to be the first time a member of Congress has taken questions from the electorate while assembling IKEA furniture.
This is what I'm making, okay?
AOC moved into her Washington apartment 3 months ago, but has been too busy to furnish it.
Did I do this wrong? Boom! I did it.
She answered questions on topics ranging from the mundane.
I put ground pepper over my popcorn.
To the big picture, the need for taking bold stands on issues like climate change.
As long as I can sleep at night, that's all I care about.
As for what she's sleeping on, it's a mattress on the floor.
Under the mattress is like the plastic wrap that the mattress came in. I'm just spilling all the secrets right now.
Her fans loved it. AOC railing against oil company profits and climate change while assembling furniture on Instagram Live is the millennial representation I crave.
A desk.
When the desk assembly required a screwdriver she didn't have, she polled those watching on whether to plunge ahead without it. They voted yes. Eat your heart out, Beto O'Rourke.
So I'm here at the dentist.
By the time AOC signed off, she had a leg up on Instagram. Actually, 2 legs. Ginny Mo, CNN, New York.
She's very much like against the oil companies, against the big businesses that are polluting the planet, and trying to put forth like legislation like that, will get rid of, to reduce carbon emissions by a significant amount.
Yeah.
So, what's her? Is she not?
I don't know, man. Actions speak louder than words, right? And only through actions can we see somebody's testimony. So give a person time, and then we'll find out, right? I mean, I can't throw mud at anybody else. I'm not perfect, I display my testimony when I'm here. So, right?
Okay.
Yeah. What's your name, man?
Very bad. It is. I've never spoken to a flat earth person. At least not in real life. It's new. It's new.
Yeah.
Your name?
Yeah, what's your name, man?
Ruben.
All right, man. Well, that's kind of a
think we're
dead fish handshake, but I'm Joshua. Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we can't shake hands as being just human beings. Like,
yeah, no, it's cool. Once in a galaxy.
Oh, is that so?
I mean, yeah, right? I mean, the whole ludicrous for me to think that
No.
human beings of different colors and ethnicities can get along, right?
And I agree with that. Yeah.
With the bartering system, like on Oregon Trail.
The thing that I'm getting, what I've been trying to get at is from where we are now, things suck. You want to get to egalitarian society, things are better.
Yeah.
People,
There's a whole lot of suck.
There's for him.
I can only plant seeds with individuals, right?
But for him, it's there's the flat earth, breaking that barrier. That's the barrier.
Right. Okay.
Whereas, for me, it's maybe you should go after business. Maybe you should go after rich. Maybe you should go after
Wait. Okay. So yeah. What's the connection between like flat earth and egalitarianism?
Well, in my opinion, understanding that there may be more land and resources available for everyone infinitely, I think that living on a ball imprisons your mind into limitations of where we can and can't travel and the availability of more land. Okay, so the motive of why would they hide flat Earth could be that there's more land. So I could have my own continent, you could have your own continent, and start it up yourself.
There's enough land for everybody.
Right. I believe so, yeah.
So I guess the question is so what stops the powers that be from just even if this becomes public information, there's plenty of resources that we know about that are still not available for public access, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what stops corporations from keeping us off the flat Earth?
Well, we are on the flat Earth right now,
Sorry,
right?
Within the
So
within the
boundaries.
Well, I mean, we're not just freely able to, like, if you have a drone, for example, if you go higher than, if I'm not mistaken, a mile or a mile and a half, you need FAA approval.
Yes.
Okay, so they own the sky.
Yeah.
And they also own the waters.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can't just travel anywhere you want to or fly anywhere you want to, because it wouldn't make much sense, because you would want to fly to another airport, right?
Yeah.
So that you're not getting too much off course. But then B, they own the ability to go out into those areas, because they own everything. They've been here for thousands of years. And I've only experienced this for a couple of decades, right? For a handful of decades.
Yeah, yeah.
So
like,
they've been doing this for hundreds of years.
Yeah. So like, what stops them from, like, even if the truth gets out there, right?
Yeah.
Like, what stops the FAA, right? Like, what stops them from just further regulating, like, transit beyond this particular section?
Yeah. How do you know they're not, though? Right.
Right. Like,
but how do you stop that? Right.
Right. Yeah.
It's like,
Right, like, how do you get access to those resources?
Like, this becomes public knowledge and everyone agrees on this. In fact, what does that actually change in terms of regulation? Does the government have any sort of incentive to actually, even if we all know the truth, right? What's their incentive to allow us to act on that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can, like I was explaining to him, could we all agree that we have free will?
To varying definitions of free will, sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I mean, you could choose what you want to believe, and you know, I mean, and whatever. So I feel like their motive, in a way, is to gradually, you're giving them consent gradually, and they're almost owning your free will per se. But then you feel like you still have free will. It's like it's like buying Coke because you hate Pepsi, but then finding out that they're the same company.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah. So, like, I guess so you're saying that, like, breaking the perception of the flat Earth is like of the round Earth, right?
Yeah.
It's the first step to, like, further breaking ourselves from government control.
Yeah, I would say that flat Earth is the ultimate red pill.
Sweet. Okay. So can we start smacking the state now?
I mean, if it was that simple, I mean, I don't think that statistically, I did a presentation in Denver at a Flat Earth conference, and I shared statistics that show that a more peaceful change of the state is more viable than just shooting everybody up and, like, causing chaos.
Okay, so
this is a process.
Yeah. So I guess like how. So do you agree that, like, the election process is largely controlled by corporate money?
Yes. Yeah. There's lobbyists and so on.
Yeah. So, like, how do we create that sort of change without something more radical? I guess that's a good question.
I mean, that's a good question, and I don't know, because I've only been in the flat Earth idea for 3 years.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so I mean, they've been doing this for hundreds of years, right?
So I guess I could understand that spreading the word is a good first step.
I mean, you know, it's one thing to do it online, Facebook and YouTube with memes and stuff, but I'm just presenting what I know, right? Whether it's right or not, I still feel like at least now we have freedom of speech, which can be oppressed on a private entity like Facebook and YouTube, because you are still entering a private corporation, right? Even though you might feel like it's free speech, they can still shut your channel down for whatever reason they want, because they own that platform, right? But me being here publicly, I'm not selling anything except thought, right? I have the right to free speech then. So it cannot be limited, right? So whether my opinions are true or not, I could still come out and openly talk about it. Now, would that limit my convictions? Yes, I don't want to go around telling everybody about the spaghetti monster, right? But I feel that there is objective reality that we can observe, that water lays level and flat always, and it doesn't conform to the exterior of a shape, unless you use terms like gravity, right? So you're back. Thanks a lot for stopping back. I like your bike.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I just came back because I was like, oh, but I need to change that because I'm affiliated with organization. If you're filming, I don't.
Yeah, sure, that's fine. Yeah, just stay out of the
He gave me
channel.
the rundown of, like, the whole...
Okay, yeah, I'd love for you to come by and check out my YouTube channel. It's on the front, Authentic Intent, and
I'm just curious.
just here to provoke thought, you know?
Yeah, so you're here to provoke thought. So
Yep.
you came because of the lecture?
I actually just saw it. I come here often.
Really?
I've been here for 2 years. Yeah. So I go to where sporting events are here in Minneapolis. And I just meet people where they're at.
Got it.
So
So what got you started in this? Like,
Um,
where did you start off?
Like in regards to what?
When did you start going out here? Did you start your YouTube channel? Like, what provoked that?
Well, I just feel like it's a good opportunity for people to hear both sides of the story from another human being instead of seeing a meme. So I'm just here to present the alternative side of where we may or may not live. So most people would prescribe to a heliocentric model where the Earth is revolving around the sun, where I would feel more confident in saying that the sun and the moon and the stars above us revolve around us. It's a level motionless plane that may or may not go on infinitely, right? But it's a geocentric environment with the local sun.
Okay.
It's all in
The ceiling might go on infinitely.
Or there is a roof and there's space is not a thing. It's all on this one plane.
Okay. And so you mentioned, so like, why do we have the more heliocentric? Like, why do we have the other? Like, I think he gave me a rundown of like corporations and like power structures are what's implementing that. Is that what got you interested in this? The idea of that like power structures are at play?
I mean, that's part of it, certainly. Do you understand where the heliocentric model came from?
What do you mean by?
Well, Helio is an ancient god.
Helios.
Helios. And so the idea is that he's pulling the sun across the sky. You know, so the Copernicus idea is the changing of the Earth being the center of everything, where the sun and the moon and everything revolve around us to work like a timetable for seasons and so on, to then where the sun is the center and everything else revolves around the sun, which sounds, no offense, but kind of religious, right? We're kind of focusing more on the sun, where we're kind of losing track of the Earth and us here.
Is your thing with the deity or whatever that created this plane, that created the ceiling, that keeps us here?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, like why can't we go up there? Because that's not our domain.
Yeah.
Is that not also that's religious, right?
It's a faith-based idea.
Yeah.
I still think that I feel like religion is a man-made construct, because what it does is it almost creates like you having to appease to a higher authority. Now, whether you want to call that government or God, right? But you're appeasing to that, and then people around here police each other as if to say, well, he doesn't believe what I believe, so I'm going to either A, talk to him, or over here accost them and say that you're wrong. And it's almost like a policing. So I mean, that could be still a religion. And that's where I'm kind of falling into a faith-based idea for most people who are here who believe that outer space is real. But the three of us can't verify the moon landing because we can't do it ourselves. We have to take other people's testimony, which is no different than taking the testimony of a holy scripture like the Bible or the Quran, right?
But there's math there.
Right, but math doesn't create reality, and that math could have been created before you were born, which is a language.
Well, math isn't.
So
math
then
it's not.
It describes reality. It's not reality.
So there are a lot of, like, in mathematical circles, there is a big debate of, like, do we ascribe math to the environment around us, or is math an inherent thing that, like, humans have been able to discover?
Mm-hmm.
So we can understand that, yeah. I think why a lot of people put faith in these systems, that, like, we have, because we, okay, sorry, let me reorganize my thoughts.
Sure.
So we're working on a community-based level. So humans are social species, we interact with others. Some people do research in different fields, and we try to share that in a community
Peer
basis.
review.
Peer review.
Totally.
Cumulative, like, sort of.
Which you have to pay for, right?
In our current capitalist system.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but I think what we're saying is the consensus of humanity of going off of these peer reviews is the majority of people in Western society, at least, have kind of like come to this idea again, like Western society isn't the best society, but have come to this conclusive idea that we do live on a planet, and that there are, of course, like other planets in the galaxy, whatever. So we've all kind of come to this process, and I think, like, I applaud you for like looking and like challenging like what you see around you, and like looking at like systems of power that you see have been flawed in the past and currently are very flawed, and looking at them and saying, hey, like, we should question these things and have like doubts about them. But I'm really curious about why you chose like the idea of like a flat earth concept versus like looking at other means of like, hey, our system is currently broken in the way that we like incarcerate people of color, in the way that
or imperialism.
And so like
those are great topics that you should probably explore and do yourself.
I do, but I'm very curious.
So you do activism at a prison and all that?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Great.
I don't, but I know.
No, that's all right.
I read.
Yeah. Education is like the first one.
Sure.
Agitate. But I think what I'm really curious about is why this is your topic of interest and why this is the like thing that you're choosing to dedicate your time and energy towards, and like what brought you on this path versus like other paths of questioning kind of these status quo.
Well, I mean, I think that to know who we are as human beings, it's good to set a foundation of who we are, where we come from, and why we're here first. And if that is based on something that we were taught at 4 or 5 years old, and we were more malleable and just not understanding and taking authority in teachers and whatnot at what they say and give us that information, we're not able to critically think. So, I mean, if you want to mock and ridicule dude behind my back...
He didn't do it. He didn't mean it.
Come on, man.
He didn't mean it.
I mean, that's kind of insulting, right? You can't have an adult conversation. You're a child, my friend. See, and that's unfortunate that people have to act like that. You know, I mean, an alternative viewpoint that goes against mainstream, people have to mock and ridicule, call me names behind my back, no less, and they can't talk face to face like you are. Now, we might not agree on everything, right? But I'm not here to flame you or, you know, post a meme and call you names, because just where you're at right now is different than my walk, right? And so I feel like the foundation...
I feel like we all want the same thing.
We do, but do we want truth, right?
I think...
Do we honestly want truth? Are we able to handle the truth even though it contradicts everything that we have ever been taught?
I think the truth that... I can't speak for entirely, but like the truth that we've sort of come to realize through our lived experience, through education, through just looking at how the governments and the corporations and the power, how those with power operate, is that what they're doing is wrong. They're hurting people. They're hurting the planet. It's basically just one long death drive.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then they tell us that it's like this is the best things can be. This is as good as it gets. This is the peak of human society.
But this isn't.
It isn't.
Right.
It isn't. It absolutely isn't. We can do better.
And flat Earth, in my opinion, is the ultimate red pill. That's why it is, because it changes your level of consciousness and an understanding that we are all one human being. We are all created here on a level motionless plane, that outer space doesn't exist, the idea of evolution, we come from, you know, previous ancestors and so on. What came first, the chicken or the egg, right? I feel the chicken did.
Why?
We haven't gotten any better or worse than we have until we can break through this prison for your mind.
But is not like...
I'm not accountable to what you feel I should or shouldn't be doing.
I know.
Okay? I have clearly convictions,
Yeah.
and I can only share those testimonies by the 200 or 300 plus hours that I've been doing this the last 2 years. So if you want to ask me what like my purpose is, I can only display that as my testimony. Like to give it to you in some kind of a thesis or like a paper, I visually show you my testimony. You know, so if you can't see it from that and see my personal convictions and you want to stay where you're at, that's up to you, and you are responsible for that. I am not. I'm not responsible for you. I'm not your prophet, your mentor, or your teacher. I'm only here to provoke thought, right? And from where that goes, when I leave here and we don't ever see each other, but I doubt it because I'm going to be here often, but that's up to you. So I will always be a remembrance of whether or not what I'm saying is true or not. Now, does my testimony of continuing to do something make something true? Not necessarily, but there are many people who objectively see water lay level and flat over distances that it shouldn't be. We see things too far. Someone else's word for it, and we haven't done these things ourselves to confirm in our heart where we live. So until we're able to do that, we're just taking someone else's word. And that's, in my opinion, a religion. So all teachers aren't in on it. All NASA doesn't have to be in on it. They're just being taught what other people were taught, and they're learning it, and they're assuming that what they're being told is just like a story of going back and forth in, history, right?
So they're products.
Tradition.
They're products of the system that they're operating.
Sure, yeah, and I don't hold it against them. And even people who have the idea that the Earth is a level, motionless plane. This topic is so controversial that if you have tenure at a university, I'll bet you that person will never openly talk about it because they don't want to lose their tenure. I mean, this is I don't even want to propagate it as something that you might not think it's not. This is bigger than Trump coalition with China. I mean, this is massive. This changes everything about what I have ever thought of who I am. And I can only display that through my testimony of being here and doing this on a regular basis. So I don't know if that helps.
It's cool that you have convictions.
Yeah. But
because you don't meet a lot of people with I have strong beliefs about this thing.
Sure.
That's new. Especially here.
Right.
You meet some people who are just whatever.
Well, could we agree that people have convictions on YouTube and Facebook? But then
Very
when they
much
come
so.
out and openly talk about it, that's different, right?
Well, because you're behind a keyboard.
Exactly. We call them keyboard warriors, right? For a reason. Because they're behind a screen and they feel very confident of what they believe. But then to talk openly face-to-face with somebody, most people can't formulate a thought to be able to convey that message properly. And I'm not saying what I'm saying is right or true or anything, but I've been doing this for a while, so and I openly talk about this online too, so I guess I walk and talk the talk, So, and I just encourage you, to find your passion in something like what you're doing right now. And if that's what you feel convicted about, do it, but we can don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Mm-hmm. You might not agree with everything I have to say, but you could say, hey, he has a nice shirt on, so he's a cool guy, right?
No, I think why we stopped was because we saw an opportunity to critically engage with you.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have different thoughts, and I think we can both agree about that. But I think I know why I personally stopped was specifically we're talking about again these systems, and I was curious if I could, in my own way, because I'm walking my walk and talking my talk, see if I could get you to critically engage with some of these systems that I am more passionate about, and if we could agree on that level.
Yeah, is there anything that you have been prescribed by mainstream that you don't agree with?
There's a lot. And I think
Tons.
there's really an opportunity, obviously, you're standing here as an apparently cis white man, and you have students who come from identities where the entire mainstream is a cis white man, straight.
Yeah.
And so I think why a lot of students see a lot of stuff like this coming, as a bit of a shock and a bit frustrating for a lot of people is we have these other systems which seem a little bit more obvious or are coming more into the
They're more
mainstream.
tangible.
They're more tangible.
They feel it every single day.
Yes, they're basis of oppression based on characteristics of people that they're innately born with, and so to be faced with things people who have strong convictions about these, it's hard, I feel, for minority students.
It feels very abstract.
Yeah.
It feels very far removed.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, because a lot of new people who come into the flat earth idea and just even the conversation, they're more interested in why a person would think the earth is flat than looking at the evidence of how they came to that conclusion, right? So my conviction would be the higher you go up in altitude, the horizon stays level with you, the higher you go. So at no point do you feel like you're on a ball and there's curvature. Water lays level, right? So, I mean, there's that conviction, but then, it goes off into, what can we really relate to? How can I get on your level so I can talk to you? Because a lot of people think well, how can you think the earth is flat? I thought this my whole life. I went to school just like you went to school. I was taught the same things, and I've just come across this in the last 3 years. So it's more for people who come into flat earth, are more interested in the psychology of it than the evidence of the Earth being a level motionless plane, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I admit I'm a little bit more interested in psychology. Like, I
Yeah.
want to know how you got interested in this, because it just seems odd to me that, like, I know I do a lot of like challenging of structures in my day-to-day life, and a lot of my friends do, and I'm curious about like why, again, this is the structure that you chose, and like, is there any way we can make these other structures more accessible to people in order to
Sure. Yeah, and I go on YouTube and I get a lot of perspectives that I don't agree with, you know, but I still want to listen to, you know, what people have to say, and their opinions and whatnot. So, how you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Check it out. Might as well, right? You're here.
Yeah.
Water, when unmanipulated, is to find its level. So whether you look at a cup of water, a bathtub, a swimming pool, a lake, or the ocean, it's flat. Of course, natural motion is not considered and doesn't equal a curve. We have 0 authentic pictures of the Earth, and they're all composites, and NASA even admits that they Photoshop Earth images.
It is Photoshopped, but it's has to be.
On numerous occasions, NASA admits that we can't go beyond low Earth orbit, which is between 99 miles and 1,200 miles away. The interesting thing is that the moon is said to be 238,000 miles away, which is a difference of 236,800 miles. No matter if you're on the ground, on top of a building, a mountain, a hot air balloon, an airplane, or looking at high-altitude amateur balloon footage, the horizon never fails to rise right to your eyes. Whether you are looking at Toronto's skyline from Niagara on the Lake, 31 miles away, Chicago's skyline from Union Pier, 43 miles away, or even Oahu from Kauai, which is up to 108 miles away from center to center, or 73 miles away from the closest points. You will not see any curvature where it's supposed to be. According to the Pythagorean theorem, which states that the curvature of the Earth is 8 inches per mile squared, Oahu should not be visible whatsoever, but you can see the whole thing. In 1887, Albert Michelson and Edward Morley conducted what's known as the Michelson-Morley experiment. This experiment was attempting to prove the speculated motion of the Earth around the Sun, and when it failed, Albert Einstein was forced to form the theory of relativity to overcome this problem. In fact, anytime mainstream science is faced with undesirable results, they create a workaround, which isn't real science at all. The Sun is claimed to be 93 million miles away, with a radius of over 400,000 miles, but can easily be proven to be much closer and smaller by tracing the crepuscular rays back to its origin in the sky. If the Sun were indeed 93 million miles away, it would simply be impossible to have angled sun rays, as they should all consistently come in straight. According to the globular theory, a lunar eclipse occurs when the Sun, Earth, and Moon are in a direct line, but it is on record that since about the 15th century, over 50 eclipses have occurred while both the Sun and Moon are visible above the horizon. F.H. Cook, The Terrestrial Plane. It's a common misconception that the shadow of the Earth causes moon phases. Even the pastors and priests of the science religion readily admit this fact. The interesting thing about moon phases is that they are always the exact same 8 phases repeated. But if we were circling around the Sun, these 8 phases would inevitably be reversed from the summer to winter seasons. I completely understand that the idea of a flattened stationary Earth seems ridiculous in many ways, but that's only because we are taught the false globe model from the very first time that we enter a school classroom. Not to mention the first time we are introduced to the concept of a flat Earth, it's depicted as a highly laughable world where ships, boats, and water would run off of the edge. So I do get it, but it's all part of the deception. I've spent 30 years of my life believing that we were on a spinning globe. It wasn't until I unbiasedly and scientifically investigated the flat Earth claims that I started to realize that there is more to this theory than I originally gave it credit for. Now, after almost 2 years of research, I'm certain that the Earth is flat, We are told that the Earth spins at 1,040 miles per hour, while the Earth travels around the Sun at 66,000 miles per hour. Meanwhile, the whole solar system is going inside the Milky Way galaxy at a speed of 490,000 miles per hour. And finally, the entire Milky Way galaxy is darting through infinite space at over 1 million miles per hour. Most people believe this, and yet every experiment ever conducted to prove even the simple spin of the Earth has failed. The same thing goes for curvature. It's never been proven, and the only time we see it is in movies, NASA CGI, or when we're looking through a distorted fisheye lens. With all that said, please continue to research critically and don't be afraid to ask reasonable questions and speak out.
You know what being catfish means?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what I'm trying to correlate here with that idea?
Yeah.
You've been catfished by NASA?
Yeah.
Where do you think I'm coming from?
That nature, yes.
Okay, into what?
I don't know.
Okay, so if I say Earth, what do you think of?
Round.
Round, right? I could agree, that's round. Is that a sphere though?
No.
Right, so when I say Earth, you think of this, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen this from that perspective though, in outer space?
No.
Okay, fair enough, right? I haven't either, right? So for me to believe that this is where we live, even though I've never seen it with my own eyes, do you think that that could be an idea of being catfished? Because you're seeing an image, a picture of something that may or may not be real, right? So that's all I'm presenting, you know? So just to kind of think that that idea could be possibly a faith-based thought life, that you're taking someone else's testimony of them landing on the moon, flying on the ISS and so on, that you can't confirm that yourself. Like the 5 of us can't go up on a rocket ship and do that. So we really have to take someone else's testimony and kind of say, okay, yeah, I'll believe that. But do you really believe it because you want to graduate? Or do you believe that because that's the truth?
I've watched some videos on flat Earth before, and there's arguments for it, but I still ultimately believe it's real.
Okay, so when you think of flat Earth, what do you think of? If the Earth were flat, for example, what would you think it would look like?
Eventually be actually
I feel like it would look like that.
Okay, all right. So the idea, for example, would be that the exterior of that is a ring of ice holding the water in, like an Antarctic ice wall. So a belt.
I have read that.
Okay, like 60,000 miles in circumference. For me, though, I haven't seen this ice wall, even though a lot of flat earthers would prescribe to that idea. I think personally that it goes on infinitely forever. So have you been to Lake Calhoun, for example? Or a lake?
Yes.
Okay, right? Have you been to the beach?
Yes.
Okay, can you fall off the edge of the beach? Okay, so water and land just go on infinitely, in my opinion. Even though I haven't seen it, I do know in my heart that water lays level and flat always. And the only time that it would conform to the exterior of a shape is when you use the G word. Right? Let's be real here, right? That's where magic comes in. So somehow they have tricked our minds, at least for me, back when I thought that this heliocentric model was true, that even though I don't ever see water conforming to the exterior of a shape, like if I was to take your keys and I dump water on it, it's not going to float, right? But then from this perspective in outer space, water does conform to the exterior of a shape, creating a ball that spins at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator. So that's all I'm trying to present, is that people who believe in outer space are in really a faith-based system. Because it's not anything that you or I can confirm ourselves, except for here under our reality, over a distance of 10 miles, from shoreline to shoreline, with the spherical geometry that's presented, there should be 60 to 70 feet of curvature. So there should be a convexity of water, right? There should be a hump of water between 2 points, because that's how you get a sphere, right? So there should be an equation that you could use to find out whether that is true or not. So I would just encourage you to check out, like laser observations on flat Earth. They're really simple, that you can check out yourself. And eventually for me, like knowing that water lays level and flat, that's my conviction. yeah. I mean, do you have any other questions or?
Thank you.
Yeah, sure thing. Have a nice afternoon. So, I mean, that's it in 2 minutes. You know, I mean, unless somebody provides, you know, their own opinions or, you know, how they really feel about where they're at, most people just kind of can digest that and ponder on it, and then I'll be here throughout the next couple of months, and if anybody has questions, I'll be here. But
I was a little concerned when you like heckled that other student.
Yeah.
That's the thing where I come in, where I'm very interested in like having like dialogue that is more open but respectful, and so like that's what I'm concerned about. Also though, if you're on campus, and yeah, like students were kids.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
well, you're not
adults,
young
but-
goats.
Yeah, we're not young goats, but
Yeah, you're
a
children.
lot of students on here are very young. And again, like, we don't always express our opinions in the most respectful way. And so I'm curious about why you choose to heckle back when students are like, they roll their eyes or they walk past. And why you continue to engage if people already are having that. Because I feel like you got those people to come and listen to you. And they seemed open and it seemed respectful, but I'm curious about why you engage with students who obviously don't want to listen to you. When most of us would just let them go by and move about their way.
Sure.
I guess defensive or just like it's. Well, you say your thing.
Well, I mean, you've heard the term "they know not what they do."
Yeah.
Right. Fueling something. It's kind of you know, on this card that I give out. You know, it says it plainly: ridicule before investigation is the height of ignorance. You know, so most people are ridiculing something that they don't themselves understand. And yeah, it is kind of a defensive mechanism because there's an idea of the Dunning-Kruger concept, you know, where, you know, we're just so dumb that we don't know it. You know, flat earthers are just so dumb that we just, you know, we don't know that we're dumb. So we need outside sources to almost confirm that we're dumb, you know, and just to kind of police each other and always, you know, point and ridicule and stuff. So yeah, I see where you're coming from, and sometimes I let it, you know, water on the duck's back and just beat off. But I feel like having been doing this for a while and engaging with the public often enough, I pick my battles, and I think that's part of critical thinking also, where you kind of pick your battles and kind of get the essence and aura from someone and know when to kind of back. I'm not a pushover. You know, I mean, there's Minnesota Nice, right?
Get old to, you know, laughed at or insulted or whatever. I'm a human, and so it's like sometimes you have like, you know.
It didn't really help when I knew that something was going on behind me, all smiling. You know, so when I looked over, he put his hands down. That level of immaturity does need to be addressed. You know, if he wants to continue and take a picture or, like, you know, take a selfie, like I've had people, you know, say, "Oh my God, I met a flat earther," you know, like I'm the unicorn on the street. That's totally cool. I don't take offense to that. But there is a level of respect that I feel a person needs to be kind of batted on the hand a little bit with, and just said, that's not appropriate to do, you know, like. And unfortunately, that's, you know, how a lot of children here, not saying that you are, but are just raised, you know, like even kids nowadays. I mean, they probably could admit that they're just given an iPad at 9 years old and they're left at home with their own devices, you know. So the teaching and parenting aspect in America particularly has significantly been lost. So. I mean, I don't know. What do I know, right? I don't have children, so, you know. But I kind of think of it like being here as like presenting this controversial, challenging information as, you know, a lot of these people are, you know, my children, or, you know, I don't want to be a teacher, mentor, or anything like that, but there are people who look up to me, and I understand that. So there is a
thought, right?
I do, yeah, right. But I do understand that people do look up to me, and, you know, there is a level of accountability that I need to hold. So, but I mean, have you looked into like you say that you've looked into some of these social constructs in government and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
What do you think of the Fed Reserve?
The Federal Reserve?
Yeah. Have you looked into the Fed Reserve very much?
What do you mean by looked into?
Like where it came from, how it was established, how previous entities were trying to keep it out of the United States, and
Yeah, I have a basic.
okay. So, do you feel like it's moving to electronic currency here soon, like Bitcoin and so on?
I don't necessarily know. I know a lot of people were looking into creating more permanent structures in the past, and many other countries have more permanent, like tangible attachments to metals. But I'm not a huge person for calculus.
Okay. Yeah, you feel like, no offense, but you feel like a simple woman. Like, just, you don't need extravagant things, you know, but then you got wireless, you know, beatboxer here, right?
These were a gift.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
right on.
I didn't buy these. I can't afford these. But
Yeah.
Too expensive.
Right? I know the feeling. I get a lot of stuff, you know, donated or offered to me too, so, but.
Yeah. It was nice talking with you.
Yeah, you
I
also.
should probably head out. I have physics.
No, for sure.
And I have sociology.
Fun.
All right. Well, I appreciate you stopping by for a chat. Maybe I'll
was-
see you around.
It was interesting.
It was,
All
yeah,
right.
it's new.
See you around, Ruben.
That's what universities are for, right? New ideas.
That's right.
All that type of